everyone and welcome to CBL. Welcome to the current affairs class of Science and Technology from the week 16 December to 22nd December. So let's have a look at what were the current happenings in the science field this week. The first thing which we are going to discuss is the great conjunction of two giant planets, that is Jupiter and Saturn. We had discussed it in our previous video also, the last week's video. We wanted to discuss it in this week. So this was a great celestial happening that happened on 21st of December. We'll have a look at this in detail. Next, we'll move on to ISRO launches country's 42nd communication satellite. So, communication satellite was launched by ISRO to replace GSAT-12. What is this whole thing about? We'll discuss in a little detail. So next, the topic which we are going to discuss is OneWeb announces launch of 36 satellites. So happy news for all the internet users that internet facilities will be improved, and this would be done with the help of the launch of a number of satellites. So we'll have a look at what does this OneWeb wants to do. So next thing which we are going to discuss is again a proud moment for American astronaut Rajachari, who has been selected for another SpaceX Crew 3 mission. We have discussed a bit about astronaut Rajachari in our previous lecture also. This time also we are going to elaborate a little bit. So next, we'll have in the end the food for thought, the things you are going to study, and we'll discuss it in the upcoming videos. Like we'll discuss it in the next week video. So please do have that food for thought. Now, I'll start with the Great Conjunction. Great Conjunction was something that was a very rare celestial event that happened on 21st of December. What was that event? During this celestial event, the giant planets, that is Saturn and Jupiter, came so very close to each other that they seemed to juxtapose each other, and we, the people on earth, could see it with our naked eye without any use of binoculars or some special telescopes. But the only thing needed is the outskirts of the place and with minimal of artificial light disturbance. I hope you must have seen it. If not, you can watch NASA's video to experience this rare celestial event. So now what happened is Saturn and Jupiter, they come close to each other in about 397 years. The last time they were close to each other was on 16 July 1623. Right? And after this celestial event, which happened on 21st December 2020, we'll again see Jupiter and Saturn very close to each other in March 2080. So I hope you would not have missed it. So what we can see here is that these two planets, like they appear as a one single star, one single dot in the sky, but they were actually about 735 million kilometers away from each other, but just 1/10 of a degree apart from each other. So they just said hi to each other and now they're again in their elliptical orbits. So this was a great conjunction of the two giant planets. So the next issue which we are going to discuss is ISRO launches country's 42nd communication satellite. So ISRO has launched a 42nd communication satellite, namely CMS-01. aboard PSLV C50, which has worked in its Excel configuration for the launch of this CMS-01. Now, CMS-01 is an important communication satellite which is going to replace the GSAT-12, which was launched in 2011. So its life was approximately 7 years. Now it has been 9 years for it to be in a working condition, but now it needed a replacement. So this CMS-01 is going to replace GSAT-12, and obviously it will provide a better communication and better services in the extended C-band of the frequency spectrum. and the communication link is to provide a better communication into the main Indian land and the islands, that is Andaman and Lakshadweep Islands. And this CMS-01 would have a life of more than 7 years. After that, it would be again replaced by the new communication satellites. CMS-01 will be inserted into a higher elliptical geosynchronous transfer orbit. Right, now what is geosynchronous orbit? An orbit that has the orbital period just like that of Earth, that is 24 hours, is called as a geosynchronous orbit. Now when this geosynchronous orbit is at a height of 35,000 kilometers, this is called as a geostationary orbit, because now any satellite would appear to be to us like just a star stationary at a particular point at any time of the day. So this is the basic difference between a geosynchronous and a geostationary orbit. So satellite has this CMS-01 is launched into a geosynchronous transfer orbit of almost 42,164 kilometers. And it will, why is it called a transfer orbit? Because this satellite would be transferred from this orbit to the geostationary orbit at a height of 35,000 kilometers. And this would be done with the help of apogee firing. Now what is apogee? Apogee is the farthest distance of the satellite from the Earth, because it is an elliptical path. So that point which is at the farthest distance from the Earth is called as apogee, and this would be done using 6 boosters in this particular satellite. So apogee firing would bring this satellite into its final geostationary orbit of 35,000 kilometers with an 83 degrees inclination. Right, so CMS-01, an important communication satellite, replaced GSAT-12, which had been launched in 2011. Now this CMS-01 is going to work for another 7 years. This was a major 42nd communication satellite launched by ISRO. Moving on to the next news, that is OneWeb announces launch of 36 satellites to offer high-speed internet in India by 2022. So all of us, the internet users, will be happy, because now the speed of internet would be increased with the help of these low Earth orbit satellites launched by OneWeb. Now OneWeb is a Bharati Global and UK government coalition venture which aims to have 648 low Earth orbit satellites. Now these low Earth orbit satellites, now what is a low Earth orbit satellite? A satellite that is launched at a height of about 50 to 1500 kilometers from the surface of Earth is a low Earth orbit satellite. 50 to approximately 1500 or 2000 kilometers from the surface of Earth is a low Earth satellite. So this low Earth satellite provides a greater coverage and with a much less, that is a very low propagation delay is there in these low Earth orbit satellites. So these low Earth satellites, these would be launched 648 in number by OneWeb, and with the launch of these 36 satellites, the number is now gone to 110. The launch was done from Soyuz by the Soyuz launch vehicle from the Vostochny Cosmodrome in Russia. The OneWeb venture with UK government is going to help us, and by 2022 we'll have a great speed of internet. But the only problem with these low Earth satellites is they need a large number of satellites for whole coverage. Otherwise the propagation delay is much less and it gives a complete global coverage. right? So this is of most importance because OneWeb is launched, has a plan to launch 648 LEO satellites, and 110 satellites have already been announced with this launch, right? So I move on to the next important news, that is Indian American Rajachari among 3 astronauts selected by NASA for SpaceX Crew 3 mission. Last week we had learnt that Rajachari has been selected among the 19 astronauts who will be a part of the Artemis mission, that is the manned mission to moon in 2024. Before that, SpaceX Crew 3 mission has selected 4 astronauts. The fourth astronaut is still to be named. The 3 astronauts that have been selected includes one most important Indian astronaut, that is Rajachari. He'll be the commander of SpaceX Crew 3 mission, right? So another proud moment for our Indian community because he's an Indian American astronaut. We have studied about him in the previous lecture also. So now I'll move on to the next important news, that is our food for thought. The suspected Russian cyber attack that Microsoft has called a moment of reckoning. All of you must have experienced there was a major breakdown in most of the countries of the world, including India, US, that it was suspected as a cyber attack. So in this ongoing week, you will read a lot of things about this cyber attack. So we'll discuss it in the upcoming lecture. So do read it properly and we'll have a discussion on this topic because the US government thinks that this was a cyber attack planned by some Russian hackers, right? So next food for thought for you, which you must have, is important, very important, the new strain of SARS-CoV-2 virus. So this basically SARS virus, now we are all waiting for the vaccine. So this virus is mutating fast. A new mutant strain has been found in UK, South Africa and Australia, owing to which all the flights to UK have been cancelled, right? Because this new mutant varieties is much more easily transmittable and has much more 70% more transmittable properties than the novel virus. So this would or wouldn't pose a threat to the vaccine development. We'll see in this week. So now what you are going to read is, since it is a retrovirus, I already told you that retrovirus is a virus that has RNA as its genetic material. Since it's a retrovirus, mutation is something very normal for this virus. So in this week, you'll read about this and we'll discuss it in the coming lectures. So until then, it is me signing off. Thank you by my side. Thank you.